mama Salone. Now we all come together as one. For tomorrow, now we gon' make Salone.
We'll talk about the university ranking. So we get JCW we can talk to we more for that and plenty other things inside the program.
Yes, well, inside the program, as usual, don't forget to say you go send your thoughts and comments to AYV News Facebook page, and we'll go ensure say we get for talk about within you now your thoughts and comments. As well, Johnson, today na Friday. Thank God it's Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been a long week. We are happy to be here today.
A very long week and hectic one.
Of all the days, then
And
Friday is a very good day.
how about for you? Because I will be coming here tomorrow again
I
to
know,
put this.
yeah.
But it's awesome though, because Fridays can be some sort of relief. You breathe in a sigh of relief. And a lot of things can happen now.
No matter what if you say, I see, on social media, lots the trend and or banter, the latest agats.
Exactly,
for it's interesting because everybody they call on now. You go on TikTok, people that they make short videos of the particular song, and it's a good win for Sierra Leoneans. At least we tend to appreciate what we have to serve.
Exactly, and I'm sure it's very important at this point. We too serious as a nation. A lot of things that we caught up with so many things, and so at times some sort of comic relief really important. And with that, I'm sure Obatense yourself will make use of the opportunity and shine. Because now blue don't blow so.
Exactly. As you make mention, we get for fun way for diffuse the tension around. We don't come up by elections. It's over a month now, so we for move forward and something entertaining for the part of the thing that we go make you feel relieved.
Exactly, and Sierra Leoneans and so good at that. It was something would happen for a moment. You will see everybody they shout, they post all thing. 1 month assaulting on pass. We're moving on. We move on so quick. So Salone people then there. And also another worrying concern is about the rains.
Yes, the rains, exactly.
And it's worrisome, really.
Today we wanna go, for pick me up. It's kind of interesting that you asked me with me umbrella, but in as much as you get umbrella, the kind where you just soak at times, you just want to leave the umbrella and move on. But again, yesterday in the news, because I presented the news yesterday, the meteorological agency they call on communities then for be proactive for ensure say then they are the right areas and also not safe commodity before disaster they happen and you get for finish a situation where you don't want and go end up for say with the call on government for pull come on here. Unfortunately, if those incidences occur.
Exactly. Most times we so focused on the for react, for come solve problem rather than preventing. We don't be proactive a lot. So now make Metro and the National Disaster Management Agency, they warn, they advise. In fact, they make people you will then a low ground, for example, side flood they easily come, go na high ground. Side if you say a disaster prone, left the force for now. Pen other side, go there if you now to party, go catch the force for now. Then as times go on, come on at inside and day. Because this at the end of the day, you don't struggle, you don't hustle, you don't get a lot of things that you don't get your property then one rain can you don't sweep everything, you don't start from zero again. So how long you go to that cycle day? Because you think and say, okay, now I that cheap for day. Because no, your life very important. You don't care go your property 1 or 2 10. The next thing in your life. So your life very important because when your life day, you always get hope say you will make them.
Exactly. When you talk about prone areas, the very first side we can have in mind, na Donda Street. The moment it rains, as long as rain come, na Donda Street, you will see one of the first areas there, we go there on social media of, inside insightful, places where you go out for sorry for the people where they say how down they go ensure say them go work or if you did not treat it, how you go come back, even though they are in places of work, not to, mostly residential. But again, inside the Boku, you talk about Kube back in another area. We're very prone to disaster. Anytime something of natural flooding occur, then gets for suffer inside, them period then they.
Exactly. Waiting more can cause that I can say Freetown specifically. We talk about drainages. The drainage system very poor. you see how much feet. So at the end of the day, it not able to contain a lot. And what think even cause that we self the contribute, we self the put hand under the internet by how would it way dot inside and small you see find out it's still small, but you do go drop and dump dot at the end of the day it clog. Where it clog, what's how overflow. They will begin blame, we call on authorities. Sierra Leoneans says self gets a role for play in terms of preventing floods and disaster at the country.
And meteorological agency also don't tell we so for expect lightning and thunder this, this August and throughout the end of the rainy season, an increase, lightning and thunder. So therefore take them and, most times they miss their okay about lightning and thunder. Low just ensure say you didn't host, you meet a day on, you lights and day on. The safest thing for doing for turn off and, put in some preventive measures.
Yeah, exactly. But we know say all this they happen climate change and yes, adaptation very important, but also we need for do some certain mitigating factors and for prevent and for help with small power this climate change business. Well,
the discussion will go end. The discussion will end about the issues of the country. I've been one for taking it in a parliament because of course many times we did a parliament. So waiting quickly we'll go round up on a parliament. As analysis inside the first how many days of the government of President Bio?
It's interesting. And Parliament, we know say we go say at the beginning of democracy at the country because and have major decisions that they take place. And we find out after we then go swearing about 96 MPs or so, with the absence of 53 APC MPs. It was dramatic when Mohamed Bangura stepped in. And from when Mohamed Bangura being captured in news, say now they make news because each time it's about for contributing in parliament, you find out say they talk about national issues. Like yesterday, talk, it speaks to the conscience of Sierra Leoneans. You see MPs from the government bench, they say, we don't appoint you, don't forget your party, don't forget. And Mohamed Bangura was like, no, this is now a problem in this country. Not to for party and for Sierra Leoneans and work for the interests of Sierra Leoneans. Yeah. And he was there, he was very vocally. And gallery, you say no more they play to the gallery, but he's making sense and all what's in the talk there on point. So it has been interesting. But however, I know even the government bench they miss the absence of APC. Honestly. The speaker said they miss the absence of APC. But because we get a budget, supplementary budget on Monday, imagine we scrutinize the whole budget to not get a main opposition. It's really worrisome because there are loopholes where they go pick up. And government bench go feel comfortable thinking, okay, this now we won't build and not get issue, not controversial, because that's always what they will tell you. This is not controversial, so let's just go ahead with it. But in that thing, you don't see over the years, opposition to point out loopholes and misunderstanding. And when they point out loopholes and they find out, say, then they adjust them. Yeah. Remember the Finance Act, that issue will come up with the outcry, then come back and adjust. So you see all this now because opposition, and the people and citizens them active and they also they follow up on issues. So it's very important that opposition was made them soon return. It's really important because even the progressive they miss them.
Yeah, well, for the sake of democracy, we hope say both sides of the government go in a parliament. Well, and so we go carry out the program this morning as Parliament don't approve Chernoba as Minister of Information and Civic Education, Salima Tuba as Minister of Communications, Technology and Innovation, Julius Matai as Mines and Mineral Resources Minister, Dr. Aissata Mahoy as Minister of Gender and Children's Affairs, and 26 other MPs. Well, the MP then encouraged the nominees for work in the interest of Mama Salone and ensure say then deliver and then position then the way they don't put them. My colleague Joseph Johnson, I send this report.
Third set of nominees before Parliament for approval, and this includes young men and women who were entrusted with different positions. But Honorable Bashiru Siliki urges young people not to disappoint other young people, while Honorable Mohamed Bangura encouraged nominees to be nationalistic.
We collectively, yourself and us here, are the guinea pigs of the young people of Sierra Leone. If we perform, we are not just performing for ourselves, we are performing for the young people of Sierra Leone. But if we fail, we will not just be failing ourselves, we'll be failing the young people of Sierra Leone. And no president after His Excellency Julius Malema will be bold enough, if we say, to bring young people on board like the president has.
You name it, is because of our attitude. Because we think APC, we think SLPP all the time, even at home. Even at work, when you are given a national assignment, who go there, you say, I am APC or I am SLP. We have to put that behind us.
Commenting on the nominees, MPs singled out Salone Tuba, Chernobyl, Dr. Prince Harding, and others to be competent to perform in their various areas, but advised them to focus on handling the challenges.
Let me zero in on the lady going to the Ministry of Communication. She was before me yesterday for an interview. Mr. Speaker, when I saw her, I thought she was my younger sister, and she is my younger sister. She's a very intelligent person. As a young person, I wish well. That ministry is a very complex ministry. Mr. Speaker is also a young man. Very young man. Going to the Ministry of Information. That ministry is now very complex because of the advent of social media. For you to propagate the good messages of government with the advent of social media, there are others who are bringing negative messages.
His Excellency the President for reposing confidence in young people and the women of this nation. Please, my brothers and sisters, especially the young ones, Siba, Commissioner Kaifala, Hajar, Janikatu, and many others.
You have done so much. I'm one person who admires you all the time because you motivate the youngsters, you give them zeal so that they can copy. And you people who are out there, please copy the right thing and make sure you do the right thing.
See, I've been activist since 16 years. You know, one day, that theory that the former government brought, we call it attitude and behavioral change. Is that coming to civic education with the Minister of Information? So Salone's attitude will definitely change.
Winding up the debate, Honorable Bangura also lauded the nominees and pleads for free calls to be restored by telecommunications companies.
The Minister of Communication and Technology, I'm making reference to her. You are going to a very difficult ministry. A ministry that has the happiness of Sierra Leoneans. Happiness in the sense, over the years, they enjoy what you call free calls on Saturdays. Please, Madam Minister, talk to the DG to sit together and see how best you can bring the free calls on Saturdays of information. You know, my brothers, Mr. Speaker and honorable members, when I had the appointments of the Minister of Communication and the DPC, I said to myself, yes, President Bill means business. When you take a look at these two young men coming in the ministry, you look at them, their age, what they have achieved in life over the years, you will have no doubts that yes, they are going to produce wonders in that ministry. To do the good job, bear in mind that the laws that we have passed in this Parliament, they are not doing enough to address the problems of price control.
Leader of Government Business and Majority Leader Honorable Martin Yuma says nominees should serve the interest of humanity, expressing hope that they will perform.
We serve the interest of humanity.
If you put humanity in a position first, you will serve people. You will stay long as you want to, by the help of God. Because that will always save you for what you are doing. So I wish you all the best, and I know you are going to perform in this business while you are here today, because you are educated.
In the end, a total of 30 appointees were approved by the House.
Those against the nay, the ayes have it.
Joseph Johnson, AYV News, Freetown.
Head of the Office of UN Women in Sierra Leone, Sachemi Mugbo, has disclosed that less recruitment of women in Sierra Leone police force and capacity are among the barriers affecting the representation of women in peace operations. She made this disclosure while revealing findings from the 2023 Measuring Opportunities for Women in Peace Operation Assessment that seeks to assess Sierra Leone police ability to and ensure women participate in peace mission. Ronald Jomo reports.
The Measuring Opportunities for Women in Peace Operation Assessment undertaken by UN Women and partners on Sierra Leone Police is an assessment that examines Sierra Leone Police ability to deploy women and ensure their meaningful participation in United Nations peace operation. The assessment focuses on good practices that can promote women's participation, barriers to women's meaningful participation in UN deployment, and opportunities for women.
As barriers, we can refer to the fact that even in number, they are less represented. Today, there are about 25% of females in the Sierra Leone police. When you look at the ranks, also, there seems to be some obstacles to deployment because not all officers can be deployed. You need to reach some level depending on the requirements of the UN peacekeeping to be able to be deployed. But 10% or less of females are in the medium and upper rank.
The Measuring Opportunities for Women in Peace Operation Assessment is supported by LCA Initiative Fund, a multi-donor fund of the United Nations that seeks to increase sustainable participation of women in uniform. Delivering a speech on behalf of the Inspector General of Sierra Leone Police, Director of Gender and Community Affairs noted gender mainstreaming is a required standard for the Sierra Leone Police Force.
For security institutions like the police, mainstreaming gender has become not only a global, regional, and national core, but also it has become a standard used by development partners to assess the effectiveness and efficiency in discharging our constitutional mandate. I therefore feel delighted being part of this historic event in launching a barrier assessment containing challenges faced by female police officers in UN peacekeeping deployments around the world. This indicates my organization's commitment to creating the enabling environment that will place women at an advantage and feel involved in management issues, bordering their recruitment, transfers, of course.
Launching the assessment report, Director of Police Affairs at the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Elizabeth Ture, noted the timeliness of the report to the implementation of the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Law.
It's indeed timely for SLP and the country at large, as government of Sierra Leone strive through the Ministry of Gender and UN Women and other international communities to work to operationalize the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Act 2022. Whilst individual countries are making frantic efforts to improve the participation of competent female officers in peace operations, many barriers still exist that reduce women's ability to participate meaningfully. I'm very hopeful the LC initiative will continue to change the narrative.
Results from the assessment also indicate eligible pool of women in the force, deployment selection, and deployment criteria as challenges for women in peace operations. Thus, the report is calling for more recruitment of women and capacity building. Ronald J. Morovia, AYV News, Freetown.
Many thanks to Ronald J. Morovia. I will start the conversation now. We know the University of Sierra Leone was ranked among top universities in sub-Saharan Africa by the Times Higher Education. we'll be discussing the gains made and the plan for the next academic year. And with us, we have James Tambalebi, Director of Public Relations and International Affairs, University of Sierra Leone. And we also have Hassan Sanoy, Executive Director of Quality Education. Good morning and welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Good morning, listener. Good morning, viewer.
I'll start with you, James Tambalebi, from the University of Sierra Leone. How do the university receive this particular information? Because I listened news yesterday, and you were saying you want to leverage on them, say, on a link onto the progress we want to make over the years at the university. How do I receive them, and what does this mean to the university?
Real?
Yes.
We receive them with openness. We appreciate the news, but we're also not surprised. We're not surprised because this is an outcome of a couple of years of endeavor. Primarily when the current VC take up office in April 2021, he instituted an agenda called the re-engineering process of the university. We anchored on 4 pillars, but all geared towards reviewing both the academic and administrative setup. It entails establishing new directorates. For example, the e-learning center for Equipam. They talk about centralized admissions and assessment. They talk about splitting of faculties and introduction of new programs where they speak to the current markets. They talk about efficiency in the administration generally. So the administration did not work on that since then. Of course, not all the pillars have been achieved or have been implemented, some because of financial constraints, but significant inroads have been made in that area. So between that period to now, we see this outcome. And of course, previously, University of Sierra Leone not been to participate in these rankings because they've not been the same data. And the leadership also makes a difference. Because when last year, the ranking team approached the vice chancellor and principal, what he do, he puts together a team, and part of that engineering process now for establish a directorate of strategic planning and quality assurance. Yeah. So that directorate there, 9 coordinates amongst the different directorates, the different campuses, the constituent colleges of the University of Sierra Leone for provide the data what they need, send them, then the team also doing your own verification and doing your own independent inquiry. And this year, we see, we feature on the ranking, and we not only feature, but we feature with an ambitious and impressive ranking. We're now 23rd out of 100 universities in sub-Saharan Africa. So we see this as an outcome of sustained endeavors, leadership, but also a sincerity of purpose.
Let me just read out the indicators we then use for the ranking and get the overall. Yeah. Where Salone where USL gets 60%, resource and finance 68%, access and fairness 60%, teaching skills 63%, students engagement 57%, Africa impact 51%, number of students 22,952. We say overall resource and finance, but over the years, the university don't cry of financial challenges, access to finance, or fund the activities of the university. Now, how we will link this to these achievements and where the underlying challenges are still there?
Yes, I understand the angle they're coming from, but resources and finance not only confined, they not only touch and concern the constraints of the university, it's also about access to scholarships and grants. And in the context of the University of Sierra Leone, a significant percentage, they get education through SLG, Sierra Leone grants. So that's a huge part of that pillar. So yes, the University of Sierra Leone, they face challenges in terms of in the area of funding constraints. Fees are few and far between. However, on the other side, the student then gets the education through grants, government grants, and other scholarships. So if you put that together, you will see, say, we will score significantly higher in that area. because it's about access to financing to pursue education on the part of the students.
We want to talk about research.
Mm-hmm.
We know to see the University of Sierra Leone, they engage in students more or encourage them for involving into real-time research. We see a lot of them, they involve in dissertations, but at the end of the day, we see social media flood with pictures showing where they born dissertation them being. What thing would they do then data them over the years? Why would not just like, is there a way, a plan for the university for transform them thing and they go for peer review and begin make tangible gains inside Salone? Because one of the things that they will gain more ranking.
Yes. In fact, when you watch at the pillars, the rating for impact in Africa, now the highest, and within impact in Africa, now they get the research component. And research, not they at the level of undergraduate programs. And by the way, then picture the way they see them born, and I picture the way they pull somewhere else and try for misrepresent the University of Sierra Leone. Those are not from the University of Sierra Leone, but that's aside. The point I'm making is the university, they undertake research. And you know, they only undertake research on its own. They collaborate with other researchers across the continent. So for example, if you look at the significant impact where commerce they make in the area of research, the development of vaccines. In fact, right now there's an anti-malaria vaccine being developed, and that's in collaboration with Commerce, which is the University of Sierra Leone. There are vaccines in Ebola that are being used in East Africa, where Commerce participates in the development of that vaccines. So it's not something you see. And over the years, the university being a traditional university, they're doing business quietly, you know, they talk about themselves. But the time don't come where, because people begin to express some doubt, we need for the talk about with successes. But in terms of research, yes, research they go on, excuse me, significantly. And it don't create impact in Africa, impact in terms of individual research, in terms of institutional research, but in terms of also collaboration with other institutions across the continent. In fact, if you look at the ranking, the rating under that pillar, you go see say the university score higher.
I will bring it. I will just bring in Sano. Sano, you come from quality education, your organization. Now, let's talk about quality inside the higher education. If you feel say that much quality there.
This not come as a surprise, I'm sure, even to the university, because the methodology where higher education times use, and a lot of people get problems with. Exactly. When you allow people to praise themselves, for present the data for themselves, I mean, it is obvious that what you want here in they always keep present. So, of course, we get very good people within the University of Sierra Leone, very good administrators, lecturers, students. We all go through then institutions there from undergraduate to postgraduate. We've been here, we know the problems, we know some of the achievements, the challenges, and also we don't see over the years the role of the government policymakers for delegates responsibilities to the university, particularly when education was the focus of the current administration. Then we see a situation where the president being therefore remove the office of chancellor to various institutions, which is a landmark achievement by His Excellency the President, even though now a situation of a giddy cow but a hold the rope, they not allow the universities them for appoint the young chancellors for themselves, you know. But we think more needs to be done, definitely. In any way, the university is not supposed to rest on this achievement. You know, we all wish the best for our country, for we institutions. When we go out there, we can always tell them, see, now the institutions there we attend, we want made them continue to fly just like in history. But in the area of quality, in the area of impacts, yes, Fube College, we all know University of Salone, particularly when you talk about Fube College, the historical impact in always the, I mean, few years when I did Nigeria, I had talked to a few them, you know, oh, you go Fube College, you know, these are institutions they know about, because then people then they come all over Africa, especially West Africa, they come here for higher education. So they impacted the fear. But are they still evident areas of research? We are all researchers. I have published 4 books now, making 5, if not me laptop, the CID. But more need for be done, in the area of research. They talk about some of the dissertations there are, thesis they spend a lot of time, they write, who side at the end. I mean, nothing much is being done. When you go online, some of what they publish, you try to watch the papers them out there, you realize that most of the papers where perhaps the University of Salone claims say have been published in the humanities, outside media, for instance. These are papers by lecturers of the university where majority don't retire overseas, don't come back. Now they're mostly you see out there, but homegrown lecturers of the university, you see very limited publications from them, including we, the university students, and we self. We know how expensive some of them are. For instance, if you want to publish a book with Otto House, as we speak, it takes 10, 15 million in Sierra Leonean currency. But how much the university don't create space for research in area of humanity, the social sciences. I mean, it's absent. It's absent. I don't want to even say it is limited, and these are things we get a lot of very good students, who can provide solutions to problems, both in the country, in Africa, and the world over. But the universities, they really give them that kind of space. We universities, higher institutions, with all due respect, is getting students examination ready, and that is it. In the area of employment, in the area of providing solutions, where that's really the university is there for, to the problems in the country. When they talk about agriculture, for instance, which is at the heart of this government as we speak. The role of the university in letting students then portray themselves out there, it definitely limit the space. Always we know that we universities then for go teach, set exam and all that. And it goes beyond that. I mean, we feel say the need for allow students them publish. We need for instance, we don't get a ministry of higher technical and higher education. We specifically engage with issues of the university. We feel say the need for begin to put more money into research. The university need for creating the necessary space for own homegrown students, then own homegrown lecturers, then so that some of their papers they are all the rights, some of them dissertations they are all the rights. Not go only end at the end of the day in the markets for me they use them or burn them, but they are being published out there. But as a whole, we get very good people within the University of Sierra Leone. Few weeks ago, I read the basic education, the Teaching Service Commission, through the basic education, they talk about retiring teachers. But when you go to the university, I mean, most of perhaps the big names of lecturers, them way in the area about these are people who don't retire already overseas. Maybe come enjoy the retirement age in our university. I mean, we have a whole lot of them. We don't need to call names, So we really need to do more within our institutions. Yeah, in as much as yes, they yearn for the very best for especially the institutions and ways we all attend. But again, we not feel so much has been done. So the praises they see on paper and what really they happen on ground is quite different.
So what you go say in terms of teaching skills particularly, is they grow or is just they at the same level, taking into consideration, the technological advancement who they see in other countries, and most time would they look for compare with to other countries?
Well, as I said, very little has been done over the years in all of these. I mean, it's just the same thing. They go in assessing universities and what they call the input and output area. In area of teaching, very little is being done. I mean, the same things over the years, same courses, same disciplines that we the institutions and get, and then I think we still maintain.
Okay, make I bring in Mr. Lebe now. In terms of course review and, the modules that they offer and, for looking to the issues and how far the university don't go?
I'll start with this. I agree and disagree with my colleague, my friend, in the sense that, yes, much more needs to be done, but it's unfair for say there is no research footprint at the University of Sierra Leone. It's totally unfair. But I also happy way say in the humanities, so it confines itself to a particular sector. And the university gets a broad spectrum of areas and way they do research. And I don't make reference to, of course, you get the 3 constituent colleges then. You get aside from the college getting strength, the engineering and humanities, you get the entrepreneurial school way na IPAM, and of course you get the medical school way na commerce. So if you check the totality of within the happen, you go know say there is significant footprint in terms of research. But I agree with that. Much more needs to be done, but it's also hinge on finance. And that's why the university launched the endowment fund, so that we're able, in addition to within government they get, then we're able to tap in from contributions from individual alumni associations, individual alumnus, and also private sector for see within which supports they can give to the university for putting money into some of them things here. So I agree with her on that already. In terms of the causes them, I disagree with them totally, because as I say, since April 2021, there has been the re-engineering of the university. It means curriculum review. It means introducing new faculties. It means introducing new programs. So for example, the mass communication now is a faculty on its own. We get 3 departments, including the library side. So you get journalism, where if you watch at the courses they offer, they see new courses them. You see old courses then they're not being, they're not obsolete, they don't take them out. You look at public relations, you look at broadcasting, you look at library science, library studies. The same. You go to the faculty of law, they don't introduce new courses. Go on the website www.usl.edu.sl and see the profile of undergraduate courses, but also postgraduate courses them, where they don't introduce. If you go to the faculty, if you go na College of Medicine, they don't introduce new faculties. In fact, for the first time, Commerce, they begin offer a program in dentistry. And as I talk to you, the Vice Chancellor just signed an agreement with Massey Ships for trained and dentists them. So the first batch of students them, they left in October for a 6-year program. So when they come, then we will run the department of dentistry and we will get homegrown. So we are making significant progress. But I agree with them. We get for step up. And this ranking will not get for rest on wars. If for anything, it don't ginger we up for do more. Because we not only want to stick to that rank, we also want to improve on it.
Quickly before,
so a lot they happen,
Okay.
Quickly before my colleague come in, a particular post said the Times did not properly distinguish between Jala University and the University of Sierra Leone. So
what does it so?
Quickly on the social media post.
Now what I comment on this?
So in terms of ensuring that, is it that we know they appreciate what they offer Sierra Leoneans, or we just like for critique? I
don't know side the comments come out, but University of Sierra Leone is University of Sierra Leone. Jala University is Jala University, and what is in the ranking is University of Sierra Leone. So I need to understand what side the comments they come out.
So again, for
this
the sake of
this is University of Sierra Leone. Yeah, this is University. It's in black and white. It's a fact. It's there.
Now you're talking about the new faculty.
That comments then somebody they express an opinion. What do you mean they talk about a fact?
Okay.
Yeah.
The new courses the faculties one I don't bring in. We talk about capacity. The university get the capacity in terms of resources, let's say lecturers, in terms of technology for drive or go on with anything and day, because sustainability is very important. You might introduce a faculty like mass communication now. You don't introduce them, you get some sort of technological, because it's not about the paper all thing, but you need to introduce technology in terms of broadcasting and other things. how will they ensure for bringing resources, people in the areas?
You know, this now ongoing debate in development. You wait until you get everything before you undertake, or you do one step by step. So this is an incremental steps. Yeah. So first we create the framework. We do the review. We introduce curriculum, and then now moving forward, now for add quality to them programs. So not go say until we get all the manpower before we undertake then significant reforms then they. So, but to answer your question, yes, the capacity there, but more needs to be done. And the university they go in search of more capacity. That is why the university they sign agreements with partners for build capacity so that they will come back and contribute to the university. So it's an ongoing thing. And it's incremental.
I know it's one jumping, but allow just put another question to JT. You agree with Sano say the University of Salone specifically to prepare students for exam rather than real-time problems or challenges where they face the country or Africa as a whole for contribute to the global development. And
it's both. It's the university gets 3 mandates. They get teaching, they get research, they get community service. And the university make progress, significant progress in all those areas. But I agree also that there are challenges and more needs to be done. But as far as I know, we are making progress.
We're not aware of the Global 2000 list by Center for World University Ranking, where they publish 15th May this year.
Yeah, we are aware.
So why University of Salone not did?
Well, we'll not participate. We'll not participate in the ranking. They'll not reach out to we follow participate, as far as we know. This one, we didn't reach out to the vice chancellor and principal of the university. We participate. So it's about the availability of the data. It don't mean say because you know feature day, it means you're not significant or you know make. It's about providing the data and then verifying that data independently by them. So we're not participating in that ranking day.
What you could quickly, JT Levy, on the area of, PhD holders and the impact and get on, the courses and the students them as well. What you go see, in terms of all the improvements where they don't get to the University of Sierra Leone, because I think it was in 2019, we had a new set of PhD holders throughout the universities of Sierra Leone.
Yes, and MASCOM not including MASCOM. So you see, in fact, that build the basis for upgrade MASCOM from a department to a full-fledged faculty with different departments. So then they contribute significantly because that's a terminal degree for every university, and that's what is required of any academic if you want to teach full-time or you want to spend life. So they are making progress in their own right. They are contributing to, of course, teaching is their main area. They are contributing to research, and research, it's not like you put on switch and you get a light. It takes time. So give us time, be patient with the university. We are getting there. It's about resources, like you say. It's also about the will. And I can tell you that the will available. We are looking for the resources. And once they are available, the platform, the space is always there for undertake research. So just give us time. We'll get there. Because it's part of the re-engineering agenda.
As you say, you want to jump in.
Yes, the issue of PhD holders and professors, we all know say they're lacking when it comes to the lecture field of the university. If you count how many PhD holders and more professors they need, the University of Salone, this is more so, well, not only the universities and other universities, because we only get a lot of other Magai, the Eastern University and all others in this country. This is something that is lacking. How many people really qualify for as PhD holders or professors, the way they lecture on their institutions, they are very, very small. And also, a trailer studies, the period they talk about the community service, trailer studies of students of the universities also. It's obvious a lot of them will see they come out universities because they are being examination prepared. We see say the output in terms of community service is very, very low. Infrastructure, and I see the number 2 pillar we times higher education use was access, also now a very challenging issue. For instance, maybe one do a double master's now IPAM management sciences under Dr. Lakoff, because the number huge way apply, and IPAM will constitute one of the campuses of the University of Salone, being therefore marginalized. Most of we apply that year because they know say the number we apply for do masters in the sciences, for instance, plenty. What they did was to have conducted an examination over the weekend without even consulting the students, with the aim of, we want to reduce the number. We're not going to take una all. So by now, maybe they talk about double masters, but I was deliberately denied, even after several attempts for talk with the secretary of Dr. Lakoff.
So you feel so fair on the university, you don't get a first degree, you don't get a master's degree, then getting another double master's degree, because then puts a requirement for examination. You feel say it's fair on them for say access not there?
The requirement for examination was not. It was like saying we get about 400 to get on the student the way apply. If we allow it all, that would fair way for push a lot. I mean, this is what happened. Then in area,
so you're not thinking a standard they maintain.
Not necessarily. It is as a result of lack of infrastructure. Maybe they collect, for instance, when the Badia project starts, the anticipation then was that project for not able to change the entire face of the university. But after here, make a move.
I'm not for play the devil's advocate. Already JT they now for talk for the university. But you saying infrastructure and standard. Infrastructure will be there, but standard, in terms of standard, you don't need quantity, like a lot of people, but you will manage what you get what you want.
That is what I'm saying. Students, we are denied access because the university not get the capacity.
Access.
Yes.
How?
And one of the pillars where this body used for access was access and fairness. Because the university knows we not get enough classrooms. Students are still running here and there to take classes. Benches are not enough in our institutions. This is more so when we see, with the advent of the free quality education, see high number of beginners now where they pass works for going to universities, and perhaps the higher education institutions, there's still not enough. So the universities no say, IPAM for instance, no say, they don't get the infrastructure, they don't get that kind of classroom. It has nothing to do with quality. What I'm talking about here now, the fairness and access, how students all over a level playing field such of, in access to university education. When you try for denying people who qualify for enroll, then something wrong with access because you don't get the infrastructure, because you don't get enough benches and seats for conduct classes or enough classrooms. Okay. I mean, from a college, for instance.
By the way, IPAM not get benches, then get chairs. But let me make this correct. I think it's a bit exaggerated. It was not targeted and it was not deliberate. This has been the criteria, one of the criteria from the onset. Myself go do MP, public administration, I take exams. So this now, not to like say then targets them for let them eliminate people. You understand? Not to like say they ambush them for let them eliminate people. This is part of the eligibility criteria for good master's program in IPAM. Probably communication go down, stall somewhere. But for say, then just impose an exams just for eliminate certain people deliberately. I disagree with them vehemently. Not to say they be. But it's also about quality. But it's also about managing students. You therefore talk about the lecturer-student ratio in a classroom. So they therefore take within they will manage now the class with the available resources. For say infrastructure, no day, I disagree with them. If you say no adequate and we need to add more, I go agree with them. And in fact, that is why the administration, the university, and the IPAM administration, they work around the clock for relocate IPAM. Details of that will come later. But what is available now, then go for take students according to the available resources. But also it's about quality, for let them get the best out of the rest, then go for institutes and exams. The one that we pass them, they take them. I know of somebody go take that exam, they fail them, then they not take them. You understand? So it's not deliberate. No, it's not to ambush the ambusher for disadvantage them. That's not the picture. I disagree with them.
So this, clarification on entry-level exams as well, because that was another issue, way back where, they asked me, a lot of students, there were all of students for take entry exams into different colleges.
You on the one hand, the thing is, when you do, you are damned. When you don't, you are damned. The university don't deal under criticisms about quality. And when they institute quality measures back, then they criticize them. So we are caught in a catch-22 situation. But it's all about quality. Because don't find out, say, some people, we know they say widespread, but you get people away, they don't go do degree program and then struggle. Then struggle for do them program there. So it raises suspicion as to how they get their results. So we have to be sure that results the way you claim say you get that. Now you get that. Because if you pass them genuinely, the exams are in a set, now the same standard, if you're able to pass them. And for as an indicator, say there is quality in our teaching. I don't ever see any product, any graduate from the University of Sierra Leone, we go outside for go do postgraduate studies and struggle. In fact, they the top 9 class. This is a fact. Anybody who left University of Sierra Leone for go study abroad, it didn't at the top 9 class, it excel. That will tell you, say, it gets solid preparation at the university.
All right, gentlemen, we'll just hang in there. More we bring in the lady. Yes. We will come to now for the second segment. A lot of comments are going to come, but we will allow one of our response to comment and then later and bring more issues then.
Yes, before we go to the ladies, some of the comments then they say, why haven't you asked students to be amongst, the panel? Why they would be the best persons to give their opinion. Certainly, if we don't do that, they say, what type of, well, not than what they discussed this morning. The other one, they say they have a backup plan with the white man faction at the FBC. They say, I hope you guys are aware of other facilities that are missing at the Frabe College. To be honest, IPAM lacks infrastructure. Quickly, what you will respond on that particular one, the lack of infrastructure.
What's in the happen over the years, put that into context, let's put that into perspective, let you understand. Now, there has been a surge in the number of people in way one go to university. And unfortunately, the available infrastructure not able to catch up with that number. It's like the university was caught off guard. So more people in the try for go, and the university, they bend backwards for be flexible and take more people. But there's a limit to which you can accommodate, because that's the tell on. Also, what in and call quality. And put time to another context where now the university, the university authorities, they not get the free hand now for recruits, lecturers, lecturer day. Now in a government, any recruitment, therefore get the concurrence of the Ministry of Finance. So there are challenges. We'll take significant number of students. And at the end of the day, the lecturer-student ratio not proportionate. They're not fair. So there are a whole lot of things there. But I agree with you. The infrastructure has to improve. It has to improve and for cater, but not all infrastructure, but also the manpower for teach and guide and provide guidance in research. But for do that, it needs funding. And that's why we also talk about the endowment fund. Support the university. It's not just about criticizing the university. Yes, we're a public institution. We open to scrutiny, but contribute also to the university, follow able to do the things they were able to do. Some of those things are not being done, not because they will not able, but because the resources not available. They're really not available. A few and far between. So support the university, follow able undertake, law expand.
So gentlemen, when I agree, say the demand for higher education don't so increase that people they go look for now fake degree and other thing.
I'm not able refute that. But what I can say in the context of the University of Sierra Leone, we provide authentic
I know,
degrees
but we see
that
a lot
others
of
are going for it.
now they come unaccredited.
Would they area about them? But we at the university, they go through all which if I go through and fulfill the conditions them for get a degree.
Yeah, the Tertiary Education Commission gets bigger role for play that side there. Because like how we say no more, when you get huge number, for instance, within the basic and secondary education, we don't get the highest number of picking the way they access education in this country, more than ever in the history of this country. And which means pressure they on the University of Salone as we speak, or universities they will get at this country, from secondary schools, transition from secondary schools to higher education. So because some of the institutions, they are not getting capacity because they don't get the infrastructure. The University of Salone, for instance, both IPAM, Fubé College, and the rest, not get the infrastructure and the capacity for admit their students there. Most of them, they end up go into mushroom colleges and institutions that were not accredited. But all of this get for do with what is the Tertiary Education Commission doing in consonance with the Ministry of Technical and Higher Education? Because when we see government divide the education ministry into basic and higher education, the entire aim was division of labor, so that the tertiary education, they were able to get specific bodies them for concentrate on them, So this is not a question where the tertiary education ministry needs. But in the area of research, and I must say this, so much needs to be done. Most of the papers online, of course, apart from Sierra Leone Writer Series, where they struggle, Malamo, where some of it they try for publish with, how many of those we get where they create room for Sierra Leonean students or homegrown Sierra Leonean lecturers for publish them papers and all of that, so those things are lacking. So much needs to be done. And amidst the improvement the university is doing, like I say, we all wish the very best, because when we go out there, we want more people know saying that this institution will come out, but we feel the need for do more. We are not still there as we used to during the days of the Athens of West Africa. Also, we really need for do more. So we not for rest on then rankings there where 80% or 70% of the data then we then use for rank. We self, go ask me for praise myself. I tell you anything negative, So
okay,
not just that happen in the ranking.
I just get the comments and I'm being in JT and this one Amadou Jabari said, the spokesperson of the university is just trying to be economical with the truth of the students' representative, but honestly, and not everyone that take the entry exam is fit to be selected. We all know that Salone education entails what Salone education entails in terms of admission. Sampa Kamara, what are the institutions doing to encourage PhD scholars residing abroad to come back and be part of the university's growth and development? You're talking about standard, that is Kamara Charles. You're talking about standards, forgetting that your students are in the street telling marketing women how they acquire grades at university. How can you have standards in acquiring and fail to implement standards in grade acquisition? Before you comment for and add one question. What in university they do, University of Salone they do in terms of retention and recommendation of good students then? I'm sure for any class of one they prepare, one go down, they mark one person or two or three safe where they're really good. What in university they do for encourage them? Like they can come with some sort of teaching assistant, or they help the university recommend them. Then we encourage them that they do teaching assistants whilst they do them masters, because we know say now one of the requirements if you don't do postgrad before you begin lecture. I want to know some sort of create a program for make them with the assist lecturers them in terms of teaching assistants. Encourage them also for make them do them PG and same way so recommend to government for make them put in a payroll.
But that's the go on. They go on. If you watch the current crop of lecturers, now homegrown people them. And they run the department there now, and then reach there through the same process. Then start as teaching assistants, do them postgraduate program them, and eventually they become first lecturer. I can't put a finger on it, but I can tell you, but like mass com right now, the faculty just employ a significant number of TTAs, where each one they work with a full-time lecturer, they understudy and then they support them in teaching and research. So it happen across the departments, but also they get financial implication. The financial implication, these people have to be paid. And like I say, the university not get a free hand now for recruits as and when he wants. For every recruitment, it has to be approved by the Ministry of Higher Education in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance, because now government they pay lecturer there now. So these are things we have to put in context. Let's understand. They left to the university, they want to recruit as much as possible because the number they increase. The number they increase and the number of people that really qualify for going to university, they increase. So that's the situation. But then there is the hands of the universities, they're tied. Yeah, because I get financial implication. But to respond to your question, it happen. It happen at my faculty, on a communication, it happen at other faculties. And as I say, we are where we are today in terms of homegrown lecturers, heads of departments, because of this system, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, quick one. This other one, they say, JT Levy, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The issue of examination malpractice at IPAM is just appalling. What would you have to say about that?
Yeah, this is a legitimate concern. And in fact, just recently, Frobe College don't rusticate some 45 students because of examination malpractice. So not that, they happen, but if you are caught, you are dealt with, because there is a policy on examination malpractice. So IPAM also, the same investigation, they go on, and then the Senate, they wait for the report. So yes, it happened because we can do whatever we can, and we tell them about the ramifications of exam malpractice. But if we cannot stop them from doing it, but when they are caught, the administration gets a safeguard, it gets a policy, it gets a mechanism for deal with them. And a case in point now, waiting to happen at Frobe College, where 45 students, after a trial, after the investigation incomplete, you get some of them will go for 2 years and some of them will go for 1 year. So there is a policy in place to deal with that.
The final one they ask, they waiting at the university in plans at times where students want for going to internships.
Internship, they happen. We wish every program at the university for going internship. It happen na some departments. But what thing they happen now of late is that then they get challenge of placement. If the ideal situation are for every program for get an internship. But now in the public sector as well as the private sector, then they resist for accommodate those students in terms of placement. So it's not just about having an internship, but it's also about serving the purpose for which it is meant, and that's placement. So we defend and challenges them. So it's also about talking to the private sector, talking to the public sector, let it open more doors. The more opening they get, the more the possibility of placements that are available, the more interns we will send out there. But internship, they go on in my faculty, in other faculties. In talking about internship, IPAM don't sign an MOU with the Parliament of Sierra Leone, especially for students and way they offer in the governance and leadership program for the go do internship. So progress have been made. I know there are baby steps, more needs to be done, but it happen. And we also want society, the workplaces, let it open more doors to the interns. And the more doors are open, the more interns will go.
Okay, continue for stay with me in James Tambalebi, the Director of Public Relations and International Affairs, University of Sierra Leone. Now, the carry out the program, 26-year-old Banda Musu Hikmatu Bintuli, now a photographer, who returned from Rwanda with the Best in Face award for the photography work, where he presents for Women Deliver 2023 conference, where he attended last Thursday in Kigali. Then I had this morning for tell more about Best in Face. Good morning and welcome to Wake Up.
Yeah, good morning.
Tell me about the process first. What thing make you go there?
So if I can start, so me and Apostle were very, very curious and always did go in for opportunities. So I'll just be there on internet one day and then they search for opportunities for women photographers. And then I see this opening and I decide for give it a chance. And I'll just be get for pay a very, very small fee, I think around $2 to $5. And I did. And then I'll be like end of last year. So where I do that day, because me not somebody, if I'm being honest, I've like never won anything. So I just apply no more and not be get any expectation. So after a while, last month, they on me email, and then I realized, say, I don't get a message from them, and it was like 1 week ago, and where and tell me, say, me na a finalist. So even though I get a message there, I be still not glady because I will go able go Kigali for go witness big something like this. So I reach out to the curator, and then he advised me, say, why I'm not going to reach out to organizations in my country and all of that, which I did. But unfortunately, the one they will reach out to not be, then say, no, they able like sponsor, then thing like that day. So one of the people who I reach out to advised me to make I reach out to We Are Purposeful. And I reach out to them, and luckily for me, then self begets for go the conference. So then tell me, say, oh, send make we see an email of you being a finalist. So I send and everything just fall in place. Quick term, I'm in Kigali, and I able like go there and meet all our different artists them all around the world, like 160 people them, all when are woman, and most of them like, obviously then they work with man them as well. So but where I go there, like everyone was super talented, like their work was so inspiring and all of that. So what I did was like, okay, fine, because to be honest, you've been like somebody like with struggle with a lot of things. I don't really expect something like that. So I just be there, and then the lady reach out to me. Oh, if I were able, can talk na the closing event, and obviously, like it's like almost 7,000 people. I'm like, there is no way I'd go to another stage today and talk because I'm very shy, right? And then the woman was like, oh, okay, I wanted this to be a surprise, but you're actually going to get the award. And even though it tell me that day, I still not able believe because like, yo, this is not something way very big. And for me, just an upgrowing photographer, for carrying something big like this, like it's unbelievable. Until the moment where the woman got on stage and then he called me name. And I was like, okay, this is really happening. So I went there, and obviously that's how everything just unfolded.
So this is your first time you go into photography, or you be done the one?
Yeah, I've done it. So I only do photography for almost 3 years now.
Okay.
And apart from me being a photographer, I'm also a public health superintendent. I have an undergraduate in public health, and I do my master's on public health as well.
What you will say, you know, they can say a picture tells 1,000 words. So, you know, when you can go out there, what in particularly you can look for? Something where you heart takes, something where you're passionate about? Because we will get a lot of female photographers into the, you know, the art.
Yeah. So for me, what's in me photography that about is particularly telling stories about women.
Okay.
I just find myself like the photograph women and tell stories surrounding them, and waiting myself as a young woman the experience. Because I feel like we say the platform now they for many people, especially women, tell them stories. And there is so much where they go on. And for me, the people me party them and like me mentor as well, create a platform where I felt so comfortable telling my story. And when I did, I kind of like feel like we'll say like a load has been lifted. And I know say some of the things that want they go through, not to me one grain they go through. So for me, Nadandi I want me photography for there about like tell stories and make people know say they are not alone.
Whose kind of photography you present will make you win the award? Which story you tell?
So yeah, so I make this clear. So Bandamusu is not actually my name, like the title of the work, which means troublesome woman. So now just series of portraits and them way I put together, just like what I say, where each girl for tell a story. It's more about the patriarchy system and how women on the value in most organizations just because of woman, they know they see you for what you actually want. So now something like that, I'll be one portrait. And doing it like in a very creative way because according to the woman, it's a me images and shows a lot of emotions. And I feel like for say even being a photographer, so people then just get a way around things, right? Like everything just unfolds, and I can take some photographs like, wow, how me really take this and all of that. So yeah.
When you plan them in the future, is it that we ever see you more often in plenty other awards than making an attempt? Now that you don't get confidence, say, okay, yes, I can do this because you be somehow pessimistic in the past, but now how you get for consolidate on this new pessimism, optimism you don't get?
So for me, the plans for the future is to see how best I use me public health and photography and blend them together. I'm also into videography, but not much. But now something where I plan for going to more, just for tell stories around health, because most people in the like shy away from it. And like 3 months ago, I'll be working on a project on preeclampsia, which waiting and do is like they did a movie around preeclampsia using like traditional people and talk and all of that. And what do we do, because I was the impact producer, is that we're gonna different communities and play that thing there. And I saw how like people really connect to them, they really understand. Because we possibly preeclampsia, if those can be big word than they, but I put that in a way where you get to understand, say, okay, when me wife get belly, or where anybody around me gets belly, I need for make it go hospital and all of that. And that's how it just hits me, say, yo, I for continue for do stories like this, I for continue for do things like that day.
Okay, quickly, then get series of organizations the way they deal with women into photography, broadcasting, and the likes. Another one I know, but girls behind the lens also. In terms of what you don't do so and the gain what you don't make, how you go, mentor other people there? Because most times you can see women no more all camera, they move around it. Yeah.
So where I win this, I get like a lot of messages on Instagram where people and they say, oh, I've been really inspired with all of this, and I know girls behind the lens we don't work together, and we always talk. And even if there is this photography group where we all lay, and one of them eyes photography, they say, yo, because there's a group called Black Women Photographers in America, why we not go do something like this? And for me, I am so in, but just like we seen, photography is a very expensive hobby. In order for make you do so many things, they just know they can do them like that day. And I just want to use this platform as well for just say, most of the things that are being a creative is not easy, and it starts from the schools, right? Like where they bring up, if schools then go able like also involve like creative curriculums, them go really nice. Because as for me now, I know say most parents then go they listen to this. Think they don't believe say, oh, me picking just there for be a lawyer or a doctor in order for make it be successful. But for me now, I'm a public health well, in the next few months, a public health specialist, right? And I also they do me photography on the side. So it men are not going to shy away from their kids being a creative. And I also like me and girls behind the left and eyes photography and any other female photographer out there, we're going to work together and see how best we will able to encourage more girls for going to photography.
As to the round up, in terms of barriers, you talk about, the one way you do for sure, say, where you woman know well, so and so. What you will say, particularly to picking the way, they go on for create this barrier, say, okay, for example, female genital mutilation, for make you get pictures of that day and, tell the stories exactly as it is.
I mean, those are very sensitive areas, but I actually don't do a story around that.
Okay.
And even before I just come on my Kenny, writing, I work with purposeful writing, and do a visual story about like why for do certain things, and let's see if you do this now, so it lead to this. So just like what they say, everything around gets for do with visual storytelling, and people like organizations then and every people need for take and very seriously, because you feel so no more anything play something, but it really stick on and people in mind there. When you watch them, you get like a very good understanding about certain things there, and it sticks with you. So if other people if organizations then go just instead of just go to before people and talk, why not bring it in a very creative way where people not go only understand but enjoy it and make a lasting memory?
No, okay. I will just round up with 4 sets of guests, and because we get other issue for discuss about winner today in award. Hepatitis Day. I'll go end up with Sano. Sano, there's a message for you. Alex Shaka is saying, Mr. Sano, please offer solutions to these problems, some of the problems you raised. Could be your final bite before I bring in JT.
Yes, thank you very much, Alex, for that comment. As a country, we need homegrown solutions for addressing problems, and the university play essential role in all of this, you know. But in area of providing solutions to all of the challenges there, we institutions that they feel amidst efforts by government and the policy, we feel say more resource need for be allocated to the university, you know. And if we really talk about research, we really lacking at the university. Research cannot be done without money. You therefore need the necessary finance. You know, the university is underfunded, and issues of even adequate lecturers, for instance, if you want to do a PhD at the University of Salone, one of the biggest challenges you face now that's how to get supervisor for supervise you. You know, so if we get situations wherein supervisors are being provided some little token for supervising students, we'll get a lot of PhD and professors then at the university. So all of these boil down around resources, because if we did talk about for improve the infrastructure, we need resources. If we did talk about for give a lot of scholarship, the student loan scheme, for instance, where this government promised for start with postgraduate students, masters and PhD professors, then still not come into reality as we speak. So when you get all of them challenges there, we not they, and so you realize say money crucial in all of this in the university. But yes, we wish the best for University of Salone. Now, we all attend. We want to go out there and point and we want to continue to fly hard. Nobody's trying to be unnecessarily critical here, but we are talking about the issues on ground, whether a match really then achievement there, we the rankings there, we the purport. It is not really so. So we really need to do more. We need to put more money into institutions then. We need to also monitor them more. I mean, I earlier talked about the Badia project will be the expected for not really change the face of the university, but little or nothing except with the landmark edifice where only an individual build now from a college, for instance, that kind amount of Badia money will go into for renovating the University of Salone from a college in particular. The impact not really shown even as we speak. So also the university should be accountable in as much as with the little they are provided, whilst governments also need for do more for ensure say we get enough lecturers, enough PhD and professors so that we will be able to provide solutions to the problems in the area of agriculture. We talk about agriculture now, that cannot be done without research. People not just go for go plant. We need people who will tell you, say, this is not the right seed, and all of that. So if we university know they produce them, if their student there, what would they get in soil science, for instance, they only get exam ready and little for sure on the field. It is evident, the trailer studies. Yes, we all go there, but we see out there, they publish books because mostly now individual responsibility, not to say not so much of the university. No, most of the students out there where they do very well, where I can always tell people, they say, me not go no other institution. Me book all that, but I write 4 books. Not to say that because I don't go outside, no, but because of personal effort. So not so much of the role. From a college, for instance, not let me anything more research out for publish. But they expect say, maybe get it right for it. Write my first book and I win $7,000 business competition on when I did from a college, when I do my first degree, but not to from a college, not create any avenue of that nature for guide me in that area, in area of research. So, and we talk about we have very good papers. We have very good students, very good lecturers. I mean, that's we know we question that one day, but so much needs to be done. And in as much as we don't get their rankings now, even though now we present the data, but we know for rest on their rankings there, we get so much for do if this country for able to solve their own problems for itself.
Thank you so much, Sano, for joining for the program. I will bring in JT. But before I let you for me get your last bite, I will give a comment. If a student, that is Kamara Charles, if a student has conducted research, where can he or she publish it? There is a problem with publication issue. Take your final bite.
Yes, my colleague now make mention of an homegrown publishing house owned by Malam O. They encourage people them, and I think a couple of others they exist. But I agree, publishing is challenging because it's about resources. It's about resources, but it's also about quality. You got to meet the threshold, quality threshold for let them publish your work. But for come to some of the comments and way my friend make is that I agree with them. For the first time or a couple of times, I don't agree with them. It's about unlocking resources, it's about unlocking funding. The university is under-resourced and underfunded. So many of them think same way in the talk say, no, there is an acknowledgement, but there are also significant efforts to addressing them. And the thing about education, if you're in agriculture, you get 3 types of plants. You get annuals, biennials, and perennials. It's perennial, not a quick fix solutions then. University, for able to see the steps they're going to make with the yield to dividend, it takes time. The current administration don't diagnose the situation, and that's why they introduced, the Vice Chancellor introduced what he called the re-engineering agenda. And part of that re-engineering agenda, some don't begin yield dividend fruits, others are on the pipeline. It takes steps to come to fruition, but they are underpinned and they must be supported by funding and resources generally. And like I tell you, we would love to have all the professors in the world, but then the university cannot recruit them if they don't have the approval of 2 key ministries, higher education and the Ministry of Finance. Then don't forget the concurrence. So that's the situation. And then they talk about the ranking being purported. No, the ranking is not purported. You can question the methodology we then use, but it's not purported. The ranking is fact and it's fair, it's in black and white. We are there. We know the rest on Oasis because we don't get a ranking. If for any reason it's a wake-up call, follow do more because we need to improve. But we are happy that they don't acknowledge them steps then even if you call them baby steps, but these are steps in the right direction and we'll continue to make them better. By the way, it talk about also research. I acknowledge the fact that individual research and they go on. And part of the current re-engineering agenda, it's also about opening the space for support research, but also it boils down to funding. And that is why we call on the public, we call on both the private and public sectors who support the university. If we feel, say, inadequate and there are challenges, support us to overcome those challenges. And in the way of one, opening space for internship, but also supporting with doing your own lobby for ensure, say, we get the necessary funding. But we are creating impact. And it's not only about the teaching and research, but if you also look at community service across the board, if you look at how university lecturers, professors, then they contribute to policy formulation, then they contribute to running boards, then they contribute to commissions, parastatals, and so on. So it cuts across. So if you just monofocal and look at one aspect, you might not appreciate what the university is doing. And that's what this ranking did, is to look at a broad range of contributions, not least impact in Africa, we go fitting into one of we mandate in our community service.
Quickly, as we round up, the individuals themselves, as you know, one of the texts I make mention, Kamara Charles, what do you go say about career counseling and how far they don't go now, the University of Sierra Leone? Because, you know, there was this rampage at times, say some of the courses they're not necessary, or someone just they go college for late, go no more. So what you go say now, the input of Rabe College or the University of Sierra Leone?
There is a whole directorate about career counseling. What is happening is that for every orientation where the university they do for the 3 constituent colleges them, then they tell them, say, this center day, this directorate day, and these are the services. Not many students are making use of those services, but a whole directorate, for Dr. Fatuta Kina in the head, a directorate for counseling and services, among other things, academic career and counseling services. So it's there, it's about knocking at their doors and go seek for counseling and seek for advice, and you'll be provided. Now, adults, then they go to university. They will never run after people say, come for this service. You have to take the initiative and go for it. If we will not create them, that's one thing. But the services, then the structures are there. It's about students making use of those opportunities.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We gladly forget to answer the program, and always we will reach out to one for more issues and more updates inside the higher education. We will round up with lady. I think there is a comment here for you. Kamara Charles saying, Madam, please don't be an egoist person to your fellow women. Be a mentor to them and teach them that photography is not for slaying, but for empowering. It's a fantastic answering of questions around gender and generation. Very impressive. And I'll comment them for you.
Obviously, yeah, I'm going to be a mentor to young girls as well. I mean, these all serve as a very good example. Say, in no matter like USAID or the sources where you can get anywhere. And to make it very, very clear that I started photography using an iPhone 7. So that's how I started. And when you're passionate about something, you obviously did go too far. And so me Instagram always open for what anybody so far we wants for be mentored. And
no, you can announce them, you handle.
Yes, so me handle Ikmatuli. Anybody can send me a message there, and I'll definitely make. And yeah, as this just happened, myself and I'm a very young person, and then there's a lot of emotions going on. But I'm going to make a platform where we serve good mentor young women, then for be photographers and videographers, then for be more confident in themselves as well.
Thank you very much and congratulations again.
Thank you.
I see Jesse there.
Yes, I just one part. Let's squeeze this in. The portal don't open for admissions, and in the end, the portal closed on the 31st of August, and basically 1 month more. And significantly, for let people know, there is not going to be a late opening of the portal. So even if they are waiting results, apply now, because once it closes on the 31st of August, they not open again. And if for more information, go on the website www.usl.edu.sl. All the courses then for undergraduate and postgraduates, then upload it. So.
Plenty thank you to the guests. We'll go for a short break and we'll come back and we join with other guests. We will talk about the World Hepatitis Day today.
Hokel Commercial Bank want for telling customers then say they don't come with one new banking service where they call agency banking. With this agency banking service here, so you can use any mobile phone for do any transaction. You can open account to any local commercial bank agents then all about the country. I let you not go na bank safe. Local commercial bank agents will give you receipts anytime you do transaction with them. Safe, you can use your phone number or your account number for do any kind of transaction. Anyone per we agents then can transfer money to anybody with your local SIM Copper app, and if you don't get the app safe. With agency banking, you can request or block any local commercial bank card. Safe, customers can pay their bills then, buy top-up, send e-copper and request statements and use the QR code. In not tap there, you can also check how much money then at your account, request or stop any check, send and cash out e-copper. But always remember say, for keep your phone safe, local commercial bank agency banking. You bank, now you neighbor.
Hi.
Hi.
Wow, you really look nice.
It's Santo now. It's sir. It's a problem on the meter. Top up?
I think say I need to go now because it's not able. When I get light, you can just.
No, I just go back to this now, please. Just give me 5. Okay, give me 10 minutes. They can just now, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, they can. Please,
Okay.
Yeah?
Avoid the stress of lights out. Top up your Exameter with AfriMoney anytime, any day, anywhere, rain or shine. It's so easy. Dial *161# and follow the prompts.
A few moments later.
Bro. Bobomio.
AfriMoney, quick and easy.
Okay, welcome back. You do watch Wake Up Sierra Leone special edition of Salone Decides, where they come to you from Monday to Friday, and today are the final day inside this week. Yeah. And we today, no member for no family for no safety and a World Hepatitis Day on the theme "One Life, One Liver." The day they highlight the importance of the liver for healthy life and the need for scale-up viral hepatitis prevention, testing, and treatments, among other things. Inside the studio, we get Dr. Suleiman Lakor, infectious disease consultant at Komon-Tok Hospital. Welcome to the program, Doc.
Yeah, thank you very much. A very good morning to listeners.
Okay, let's start off. A lot of people might want to know what hepatitis is and why are we celebrating World Hepatitis Day?
Okay, thank you very much. Hepatitis is a medical language. The word itself is derived from the medical language. When you say hepat, you mean liver. Mm. And often when structures within the body have issues, we can refer to it as itis. So in this case, when we say hepatitis, we are talking about a sickness, an illness that affects the liver. So that is, in simple terms, what hepatitis is, an illness affecting the liver.
And why are we celebrating the day?
Well, this day, we are not celebrating it for joy, but we are celebrating it as a way to increase awareness, to engage communities, to engage the media like you people. So we continue to push information that has to do with awareness about hepatitis. Educate our people for them to be tested, for them to know their status, and for them to be prevented from this particular illness that is called hepatitis. For those that have treatment, let them also receive the necessary treatment that is needed.
Before Zulai jumps in, the theme for this year is One Liver, One Life.
Yes, so that's the umbrella theme, One Liver, One Life. But there's a sub-theme that will say we can't wait. When we say one liver, there is only one liver for every human being. The liver is a single structure, unlike paired structures like the kidney. You have two of them. The lungs, you have two. The eyes, you talk about paired eyes. But this is a single structure, and that's the only one that we have. And it has some vital functions that it plays in our body. It serves as a manufacturing site. So it's a factory itself. But not only that, it also stores very vital substances that the body requires. The liver also serves as a security apparatus that helps us to fight diseases, preventing agents that have the potential to cause harm in the body. It can serve sometimes as a passageway, a conduit site. So with all this, it's very vital, it's key. And it's only one. When there is a problem with it, then that's the end of life. So we have to save this one liver so we can save the one life that we have. This is the essence of this theme. But
Go on, please.
Okay. But the sub-theme is that we can't wait. We can no longer wait for people to have livers that are destructive. And at the end of the day, they suffer. At the end of the day, they lost their life, mostly young people. We can no longer wait for people to bear the burden of treatment for hepatitis. We can no longer wait for our children to be born with hepatitis and then live with it just for them to suffer at later life. We can no longer wait for people to stigmatize those people that have hepatitis. So as a result of this, we can't wait. We have to save this one liver and save the one life that we have.
You know, in the area of statistics and data, you feel say Sierra Leoneans they go now more for get themselves checked when one of the problems in Sierra Leoneans because the fear of for say you go there, you go be seen now yes, it's positive, you they make people then they hold that back. So nowadays in terms of statistics again, if they go up, people that they go check.
So the thing is that people they go check, but it's at a low pace, and this is why we are here. We want to create the awareness. So everybody can go and check their status. Yes, globally, when you look at it, less than 10% of people are aware that they have hepatitis. And when you look at the statistics in Sierra Leone, the number of people that have hepatitis, you can say it's a big problem. We have done a nationwide representative study, which looks at the whole population of this country. And we take a representative sample from that study. We reported that 13.5% of the population of Sierra Leone have hepatitis B infection. You know, there is a B, there is a C. An additional 2.2% have hepatitis C infection. So it's a big problem. If we put it in terms of numbers, we are saying that 13 out of every 100 people that exist in this country have the virus in their system for hepatitis B alone. And when we put it further in number of terms, we did a good estimate. That's 1 million out of 8 million people that exist in this country. So it's a big problem, and it requires attention.
Doc, before we said, we get concerns on Facebook. With Facebook viewers, then they plead to say, more we discuss this in a Creole so that we'll get an understanding. So we go over the statistics again. And tell me, before you go to the statistics, we learned that there are different types of hepatitis. So you can able to explain that one and the different type, and the one way worse, the one way less, and you can out of the statistics.
Pamela, sorry, I talk English, but the The hepatitis, you know, the liver inserts food and say hepatitis. As I say, now sickness will go for the liver. And there are so many things the way they cause them. Boku thing and the way they cause them. Commonly in this part of the world, we get germs them or say to move them, we call them viruses, then call them hepatitis viruses. Now then they cause this liver problem we talk about. And then virus there, now like we want picking a normal, begin give them names. They get A, B, C, as they want them. So now they talk about hepatitis A, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, hepatitis D. There is even E, and recently they talk about hepatitis G. So these are different types of hepatitis virus they will get. But critically, B and C get the tendency for live long now system, and then get tendency for cause chronic or long-term changes inside the liver, then cause liver cancer. At times, then they cause the liver for become hardened. They get a scar. Well, I mean, the normal beef of the liver, they now be replaced by scar, ordinary scar, like we wound that mark with the day. So it make enough function. You know, they work much. You know, they will do the function we're supposed to do for you. We are highlighted later on. So because of this, it tells you, yes, something must be done. And this then to there, now they will not access now this country. We take people in blood, we go everywhere now this country. USA we able for select. And we report say, when we look at that information, 13 out of every 100 people who live in this country get this particular tumor. That if you take 10 people, at least one person will get this tumor inside his system. But many of them are not aware. They don't even know, see them get them. But it's there in their system. And later on, they get tendency for unbug them, for cause liver cancer, for cause liver hardening, or they call liver cirrhosis. Then tendency they get for call Indian people, and if nothing is being done.
What are the methodology we want to use for do this research here?
So this, more deeper, I would say cross-sectional. But we go, in the first place, we work with people that we know about the statistics of this country. Whose people are we, they, whose side people and they, and they're able for shape the country, randomly. Then say randomly. They're not doing say more go no more na Kabbalah logo because sometimes the hepatitis bokude, but then pick. Who side them pick na Koinadugu districts, who side them pick na Pujam districts, who side different areas. And then we send people then go. Take GPS. Then they ask questions. After they don't seek consent from them people and they don't seek consent from the local authorities and they all participate and take them blood, we count all the way in Africa for analyze them. At the end of the day, we're able to come out with this information. And these are supports we receive from the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The Ministry of Health received this support. We're able to work with the partners then at the 34 military hospitals. So we're able to analyze their samples there.
When we talk about the symptoms of hepatitis, I'm going to say I get hepatitis.
What most times can happen is someone they get them, they feel nothing. Now I could say these are silent killers, these hepatitis viruses. Then they kill you slowly. You don't know. You know where they pass. Then they say, but that man, I say I'm 3 months ago. Then you know, that man, the state is very bad. Because you don't know. And people the way they come to me, now we clinic them, realize 80%, it's out of every 10, now they feel nothing. But some of them, they tell you, see that now, changes don't undergo, don't go through the liver. Something don't happen. Some of them, they don't know, they will continue, but where I don't come now, we're able to do something from them. But the few people that they present with symptoms, or they one then they will later on get for develop symptoms, mostly how then they feel, they say, me idea, or somebody will say, I see idea. Where they wet, if you are like cook, sometimes brown or deep yellow, where people can get them, then say, then get what you then call, quote unquote, jaundice malaria. In reality, there is nothing like that. We then call jaundice malaria. Malaria can cause somebody for like yayala, but it's not too common in adults for like severe to that way, make yayala. So if anything they happen, not just go buy malaria medicine, sit down for yourself, make sure you go to hospital, make them look you. Sometimes some people then they feel for vomit. Or sometimes then the belly, the heart, mostly at the right upper part of it, because the liver they big and stretch up. So extreme weakness, then they can happen. Later on, if the sickness progress, can make someone belly they swell, someone foot they swell, it can go to someone even lost consciousness, he don't know himself. And then they tell you say the condition is bad. Someone even in that situation and they can vomit blood. Then they all can happen. Because as I told you earlier, the liver they serve as a passageway. If you block them, the blood get for pass other side, go open road where we say enough for open, and then the person bleed, begin vomit blood. Or sometimes they where the vomiting, where the blood boku, it pass blood nice too. Liver they cause all them problems there as signs and symptoms. So they want them, we not agree for go test, or the one they will test where they say gets and not agree for they in care. But let them go, they look them. Those are things that do happen.
Okay. How person can get insecure? What it can cause them?
So the hepatitis B and hepatitis C, we are saying a major problem now we own setting. It is spread different ways. Some man we gebele, lots of women gebele for hepatitis B. They get tendency for give in picking through the connection we then able for exchange substances. So hepatitis they take opportunity during that process. Then a major source we make we in Africa now get high burden of hepatitis through that means what they call them vertical transmission from mama we get them to an unborn child. But beyond this, shops, you go to a saloon, you go to them barber shop them, they see people them, they share shops, the barber's clipper, for example. See, most of them cannot even sterilize them well, and sometimes even their means of sterilization and they're not effective because hepatitis can exist for long outside human body. Sometimes, even at least, we will say 7 to 8 days. It just the normal. Unlike HIV, we pull an eye in 3-4 minutes, it starts, we die. You know, in a weak virus. But hepatitis is a very strong virus. We can withstand strong environmental conditions. And as a result, people can acquire them from that. So that sharps them. Even now, us, the one they share inadvertently, razor blade, nail cutter, tendency for make people acquire hepatitis. Of course, with traditional practices and recreational practices, where people and they go and they tattoo themselves, some man they go and go east, go this. So these are all means. If at all measures are not taken, we people and get tendency for get hepatitis. We know about injection drug users. We call them PWID, people who inject drugs. So tendency for medical one and they also acquire hepatitis. If you don't go outside and they, when somebody take medicine, he inject himself. He can take that same needle, he give other person himself inject himself. And at times when you go to crowded correctional centers, you see the same thing they happen among the young people. This is a cow is a blade, he shape himself, he give the same person, then shut down. So shutting of sharps is a major route, including even in health facilities that we not standard. We then go take one needle, then give other person, then say then they boil them, all those things, with then they planking get this hepatitis. But also sex. We'll not for left sex out. Hepatitis B in particular, get tendency for spread from one person to another through sexual intercourse, just like it happened with HIV, just like it happened with other infections like gonorrhea, syphilis. So hepatitis B also get that tendency. Hepatitis C less often, it not happens, so but it can happen among homosexual men. You know, people that they pass between themselves through their anus. So for make hepatitis C spread from one person to another. So sex is also a route by which hepatitis they spread. If you go to the hospital for not give blood, they don't look and find. You know, then this SF now way this way, then we just take that blood, way infected with hepatitis, then send them to you, and you self acquire the infection by that. If you not look the blood, fine. So these are the different means them where people and they get this to move and call it.
Let's talk about, you know, the treatment facilities that now we are available. As you don't name them all and, you know, the signs and symptoms. What in they were available?
Yes, Zula, before Doc, you don't mention sweat because people they say sweat, they give hepatitis. That mythology, the way they are around, I don't know how to is that. Spoon or you exchange something with person apart from sharps.
So I want to say, as you say, the aspect of hepatitis is spread by sweat. Now a myth, it's not correct. Hepatitis not is spread by sweat. It's not is spread because somebody, when I exchange saliva, except if there are wounds, bloody, not is spread by sweat or by contact. And this now one of the things where they affect the aspect of stigma. You know, the issue of stigma, somebody, one office they wait and test positive for hepatitis, the whole office almost lock. Then say, if they go like the virus, they wait for the adidomot for go enter them. No. Hepatitis not is spread because may you walk at the same table, may you sit down, lay down at the same bed, or use the same spoon, the same cup, utensils. No, it's not is spread by that. Except somebody obviously get wounds, tendency they for make that happen. But with a smooth skin like this, without sharing sharps, without sharing things, the way they generate blood, for example, toothbrush, we get tendency for let you do and then blood come out. Without all those measures, then very unlikely for the hepatitis spread by that.
So in the area of treatment, what's in the facility that we are available?
You see, all government hospitals or facilities, if you go there, then they're able to check you for hepatitis. You go government hospitals. That's not one aspect of it. But what they happen most times now that people and they go, you know, this test for hepatitis is simple. And WHO, the one even would recommend very strongly. Well, I will even sit down and check you for hepatitis. I know if I want to do anything for confirm for that, I can do that. But it's easy that I can do it here. It's easy that we can do it in communities. But when people and they test, as they tested and say get hepatitis, the next thing they do now is now for begin give medicine. No, hepatitis is not like that. You get processes for assess for know as to whether you're eligible. And those are things that they do in the hospital settings. for make sure say you need medicine or you don't need medicine at a particular time. It not mean say you don't need medicine, the virus not inside you, they inside you. But also the virus, they act on an active, sorry, the medicine, they act on an active virus. The virus where they born, where they say replicates, where they give out to a new one. And then the drugs they act on. So when they say treatment, those are things you go, they assess you. Yes, but cool people don't need treatment, but some people need treatment. And if you need treatment, there are drugs that are available. We agree the cost for now is on the burden of the person. The cost for now is on the burden of the patient and not anybody else. And considering the economy, it's quite challenging for some people when they come, even with the assessment. But there are treatment, there are drugs that are available, and then drugs, then you have to take them. When you take them, it helps us or help you as well for making save reliever from them problem there, from their insult there.
May I pick your brain on a particular topic here? Because earlier we did discuss on the types of hepatitis, and somebody make mention of alcoholic hepatitis. And I want to pick your brain on a particular statement where it's a liver inflammation caused by drinking too much alcohol. So what's in the truth behind that?
Yes, so past-mark alcohol cause hepatitis. Like how the boss call and so say alcoholic hepatitis. If you go into the Western world, where hepatitis B and C not a problem for them, mostly what they cause when they get liver problem, now alcohol. It's their side and they because they get first the money for drink, and two, they get some alcohol and some not even control their lifestyle. So then are their own problem that day. It also they happen now your own setting. Although not common compared to this hepatitis B and C. And not alcohol no more, even with country medicine them. We people and they take, some will not even know it's not in content. Not know how much for take. And you know, anything you take now the body, where you see the body not swell past I suppose for day. It means anything you take now the body, you get for break and down. And there are structures the way they help for break and down, there are structures the way they help for pull the end product outside. One of them are the liver. So if you overburden them, what they happen is they also fail, you know, a result of problems. So even country medicine, they cause them in the end, including other medicine, they use itself in a modern medicine. That's why they cause them kind of thing and like even Panadol, if you take a boku one, you get tendency for cause liver problem. So you see, so different things and they cause that. Just like the topical problem in our own setting. Oh, see, people and they come, then get liver cancer, then get liver, we don't harden, we know they function well. Oh, they say liver cirrhosis. Now this hepatitis B, followed by less commonly hepatitis C. Alcohol, yes, can cause your own changes.
At what stage, you know, when I go able for treatment? Because many times people think then also things don't go out of hand and they run canton and now for do some sort of magic. So at what stage do you think, say, you know, it can be cured?
You know, except in very advanced, like somebody who get liver cancer, we really affects extensive area, where we will say there is very little for do. We don't want the people to reach to that stage self. We want, let you go. You know, we even know for yourself say you not get hepatitis, as you see also right now. But everybody need for test. We go assess within the situation, with the virus in level, within the situation with your liver, in terms of a function and in terms of a structure. We will assess whether I get other virus there, other them inside your blood, like HIV, or even whether hepatitis B and C, they all do together. All the information and they guide me on waiting next for do for this person. Whether we for put her on medicine or we not for put her on medicine. But you can't determine that by accident. So you're not going to know if Mr. get like acid also. Say, oh, now man, yeah, I know yala. Don't wait for that. Or this man in belly not big, he not swell. Don't wait for that. Or this man not in complaint, say they feel weak. Don't wait for it. Go and test. When you test, we can tell you exactly what's in the situation and how they address them moving forward.
What we can talk about, we realize a vaccine day for hepatitis, right?
Yes.
At what stage person will go for this vaccine? Because a lot of people will say, well, man will take this vaccine without an order test safe.
So hepatitis B get maclet. For hepatitis C, it not get maclet so far. And hepatitis B maclet is very efficient. No, for protect person. Except if you know to possibly say responder, then maclet the body, the maclet not take. What they do is that person we don't get hepatitis, they take maclate again if you get hepatitis B, because you don't already get. Well, hepatitis B maclate, they give for anyone with negative for hepatitis. The tests you not get, he receive maclate. Enough for you for now, as I tell you. But later on we'll talk about how systems, where they put systems for able for cater for the populace over time. But the critical thing is that there are private institutions that will get them. So that one then they cable give. But also there is a system the government has implemented since 2007. The government don't introduce what they then call hepatitis B vaccine in part of what you say routine immunization. Those routine, then vaccine, they can give them picking their way small. So hepatitis vaccine, they're part of that. So these are all interventions them where part of the entire government they put in place for able for prevent them picking them. May they not get this hepatitis over time. We get maclates, and the maclates, they take them for children at 3 doses. Mostly they are on their way, don't reach the age of 10, 6, 10, and 14 weeks. But for adults, they say they get 3 doses over a 6-month period. 3 doses, I mean 3 injections of the maclate over 3 months, over a 6-month period.
All right, Doc. More we talk about the stigmatization level and what you want to do as master sabi people for ensure say we want to encourage more people for come before, because a lot of people will say, me, I want to come before, but because people don't go be watch me by the eye. So I go sit down and relax.
Yeah. So one thing they do is that this is not a big problem, this aspect of stigmatization. Anything that this country we associate to sex, as if you know they do them, then people and they tend for say, me not even know how to go pull them. Then forget say there are lots of activities where they do where they increase the chance for to get this particular sickness, like all the things that were mentioned in terms of sharps. But because sex attached to it, when you get another, then go feel say because of this, and it's not the case most of the time. So the aspect of stigma is a big problem among we the people in this country, and as something we need comprehensive approach. We know more the healthcare workers, but also now the media. Understanding about the sickness is very important. Understand, say, I can hug you. If you get hepatitis, me not get. I know they get them by that. Understand, say, we can sit down, we eat together. Understanding, say, it can go work. Nothing they do, you will do work efficiently. All that information, they guide me for able for reduce stigma. Mostly the problem we get at the employment places. What they say possible for go start employment? They're not just doing for keep their health, their workforce healthy, but rather as a way for eliminate some people. They say that they get hepatitis, so they are more employer now. They begin say you get problem. For which there are people, many people, majority of people get hepatitis, as I say, not get symptoms, they feel nothing. So the person say they go test as part of the employment process. Now say yes, I get this particular tumor. So the message has to go, and now we only take the message, you already listen me now for say, no need for stigmatize somebody get hepatitis. No need for you yourself. We get hepatitis, may stigmatize yourself. Associate normal. You are a normal person. You don't get no issue for prevent you from not shake hands with a colleague. You don't get no issue for prevent you from making live a normal life as an individual. So not feel self-stigmatized. Come out if you want for help for advocates. There are communities around the world where they do that, where they champion, where they advocate to government, may put money on hepatitis, so we will better. Where they advocate to the media, where they able for propagate information of hepatitis at all time. Where they advocate to local authorities, where they able for tell them subjects and say there is need for them test for hepatitis, and there is need for them not stigmatize them in the community. There is need for them to receive treatment. So it's a holistic approach. It's needed by everyone in this country.
You make mention of pregnant women. Let's create a scenario. If a pregnant woman gets hepatitis, it gets any effect on the unborn baby?
Yes, the effect now for spread them. It get tendency for give picking. However, for say then the born that picking day, yet benzo, they happen. So the whole thing is that what with the type of prevent is at the future. Someone will get hepatitis now might not acquire a form in parents at age 30, at age 40. Now then go test them. We don't want the institution, and now the burden is on you, the individual. For they go hospital, it's a burden. For they do test, it's expensive for the test for hepatitis. Label for each conclusively say this is not the situation, very expensive. And now there are no resources yet from the side of the government say, oh, we support this. Because the population also, when you look 1 million people, it's quite challenging for take over all level than they are at this moment. Their structures have been put in place in the future for beginning to address the issues there, small.
Doctor, you get a question on Facebook now. Mohammed El Jalo, they ask, is the test free or how much is it?
So the test is not free. I can say for that, except somebody decides say they do free screening during the process, then it goes on site now 50 loans, and you do the test for you for hepatitis B. 50 loans, and you do the test for you for hepatitis C. And in some places they're not even rich. So it's cheap. That money they put by other priorities. You can also put that money there for real well body business. Who puts that money there for real well body business? But they save liver, they will save with one life we'll get.
What about the vaccine? How much?
Yeah. So the vaccine, from the understanding what I get from different businesses, so man they give 200 loans, 200 new loans, 200,000 old loans per dose. Over a 6-month period, it's like 600,000. Some assets are very expensive, less than 400. So we agree, say yes, there are people who cannot afford, but there are those who can afford this, or even more than this. There are many Sierra Leoneans who can afford this and should be able to explore these opportunities.
Anthony Musima, they ask, will the particular disease cause swelling of the limbs?
Yes. As I said earlier, the hepatitis virus, it gets tendency for affect the structure of the liver and affect in production capacity. Now a factory for yourself. And then thing they produce normally, there's some chemical necessary for make the body they not swell. Times it's not able. And as a result of that, the foot and they swell, the belly they swell. So yes, they get tendency for cause swelling of the body.
Right.
Yes, mostly the belly, followed by the limbs themselves.
Okay. Doctor, as we round up now, today in World Hepatitis Day, apart from media engagement, what's other form of, work the owner go do for commemorate today?
We, as I say, the ministry, the first thing when you want for tackle a problem, you need to know how big is the problem.
Okay.
And we don't say the problem is big. They talk about 1 million people is a big problem. And when the ministry don't realize it is a big problem, we don't work with the partners there, as I mentioned later on Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the World Health Organization. We don't work together for develop what you call a policy on hepatitis. We also don't develop a strategy, a roadmap on how we go forward with this hepatitis. Next couple of weeks, while we continue with media engagement, population, community today, we're going to make a big event or they launch this policy and strategy and disseminate and wide. From there now, they define how do we move forward as a country. It's already there. So now then, different pillars then they take for defined governance related to hepatitis.
What will be final word, as a piece of advice to other listen for, reduce the rate of hepatitis in the country?
Ma add before you talk this final word, you will add all this question. Tijana Maran on Facebook say, he say, me concern na that you want to know if they get hepatitis where they share formites like towel.
So in an intact skin, no. In an intact skin, no. We know there is also an aspect of hygiene that's a need for address, but in an intact skin, no. And sometimes knowing that is where the challenge lies, but skin, we're intact, no. In terms of the final word, the message what they give to anybody who listen to me, know your status. If you not get, take McLeod. If you get, you go there under care for letting them save your liver. And when there is need for treatment, they will give you treatment. Not stigmatize anybody who gets hepatitis because it's not necessary. If we live together, if we be warm, for make sure say we encourage them when they receive the care we needed.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
Dr.
too.
Suleiman Lako, infectious disease consultant at the Komon-Tok Hospital as today na World Hepatitis Day. And we hope say you go listen to what he say and take advice, for stay Joseph. Joseph.
Well, thank you very much, Doc. Mr. said don't learn plenty things, and we now go come down with the cutting of the study program, and maybe they come with the program to you, me and Joseph Johnson
and me Nazulaya to Hamid continue for look AYV as next week, Seth will go bring a fresh edition of Wake Up Salone.
All right.
You're watching AYV Television.